All right, Kevin, we're live with everybody. And of
All
course,
right.
we'll give it a few minutes for more people to join us. Welcome, everybody. My name is Andrew Weissman. I'm Vice President of Market America Worldwide and Shop.com. And I'm very privileged and honored to be joined tonight by our Executive Vice President of our Asia Pacific markets, Mr. Kevin Buckman, who is coming to us from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I'm here in Miami, Florida. And we welcome everybody that's joining us. I know we're broadcasting live on Facebook. And just want a quick mention, Kevin, I know we just last weekend had a very successful Market Singapore Leadership School. You're in Malaysia now because this weekend is the Market Malaysia Leadership School. It's worth noting that there's a product symposium happening in Greensboro, North Carolina this weekend as well. In the following weekend, we have the Market Hong Kong Leadership School, which is followed by the Market Taiwan Leadership School. Not to mention, we have two great regional conventions happening before the end of November. We have the Northeast Regional and the Southeast Regional. So I guess I wanted to convey that just because it's a great time to be an unfranchised owner. It's a perfect time to build the business, because more and more people, of course, have open their minds to generating another revenue stream for themselves and their family because of what's happening in the global markets, the global economy. It's not the healthiest it's been. It's for a perfect solution.
And you make a good point, Andrew. We're coming out of this, 2.5 years, if you will, of the pandemic. It greatly inhibited people's ability to come together, and have that physical environment to have, nurture the relationship, build relationships and stuff. But, really now that we can all come together and take advantage of that, energy, excitement, enthusiasm through the coming together of the people, it's a great time to leverage that. Okay. In the fact that our products were so good, they do what they say they do. We were able to build a tremendous consumer market and repeat buy, customer market over this period of time to where, our products, sold as good, if not better during this time. And we've really, many unfranchised owners capitalized and leveraged that period of time to really solidify and really create that really solid repeat retail customer foundation. And so that, now coming together, bringing, people that they've exposed the business to these events. And these events, I always tell people, these major events, they validate the business. They validate the business model to people that are taking a look at it, simply because they're seeing people that have succeeded with the model. And, they end up asking the question, well, why not me? Why not me? I'm looking for something, and I think I can do what they did. So it's a great time to get prospects, get some of your business partners that maybe have been dormant, and we got to get them to the physical event.
I know these agendas, I know you're very involved in putting the agendas together for these Asia Pacific events, and there's so much value because you're hearing from those growing rising stars, in those markets who are making the business happen now. And there's nothing like hearing from those active unfranchised owners and hearing what they're doing that's yielding results. So for those of you out in Malaysia, congratulations, you're going to have a great event this weekend. But we just want to acknowledge, before we get into the subject matter, the main objective for tonight's session, wanted to recognize the leaders on the Stay Focused, Stay the Course 53 challenge that continues. And for all the leaders from Australia, from Canada, you can see in the different categories, from Hong Kong, we just recognize you, we salute you, and it's just great to see your names on the leaderboards. At the end of the day, as you all know, this challenge was organized based on the result producing activities in alignment with the Getting Started Guide, which is also in alignment, Kevin, as you know, with the weekly accountability available through unfranchised.com. And so for those of you who are going for the challenge, congratulations. by doing these tasks and activities, you have to make progress, ultimately get closer to your personal and financial goals following our proven business plan. But so I just wanted to start the session off with what's happening in the different markets as far as events to leverage and utilize. This will be very, very valuable, and also recognize those who are on the leaderboard for this week's Stay Focused, Stay the Course 53 Challenge. But Kevin, tonight, I think it's going to be a great session because we're talking about a principle that to a large degree, some people may get confused here and there. They have a difficult time maybe practicing it for some reason, but I think we're going to clear a lot of that up and keep it very simple. What we're talking about is follow up in the ABC pattern of building depth. And Kevin, I know you teach us a lot. You've practiced it. I've done the same thing, and it's something that our JR was very, it was very important to him. It was something that was a principle that he created ultimately. And he would always look to teach, coach, guide, and people on franchise owners to execute, following this pattern,
Yeah. Andrew, it's a lot of people don't get it. I always talk about, people when, know the basic five, right? Attitude, knowledge, goal setting, retailing, prospecting, qualifying, and then, you got follow up in the ABC pattern of building depth. There's your basic five. And, unfortunately for most, and I chuckle about it because I know it's true. Okay. Most of the basic fives people go to, they get basically the basic three or the basic four, but they run out of time because they spend so much time talking about having the right attitude, getting the knowledge, a little bit about goal, having the purpose of, and the importance of having a goal. Then they want to get in a little, do some retailing. And then they spend all the time, trying to how to prospect, how to expand your organization. And then all of a sudden they've got 15 minutes left, in the training time to do follow up in the ABC pattern. And they throw up the diagram that we're going to throw up there as well. But the thing is unfortunately, this is where you get paid. Follow up in the ABC pattern is where the work begins. Based on how well you do this. And, just to get everybody set, a lot of people will say, well, JR talks about showing the plan house to house, A, then B, like, you show it to me at my house. And me and you go show it to Andrew Chi at his house, and then Andrew Chi, me and you go to, Jim Winkler's house. Okay. He uses showing the plan house to house. Okay. You doing the evaluation approach, getting people to evaluate it, because everybody represents 100 beans and they have their own jar. He uses this to demonstrate the concept. He used it to demonstrate in a simple activity, the concept of duplicating, in depth ABC. He only, as far as showing the plan. But in reality, all the other factors, all the other elements have to be duplicated in the ABC pattern, okay? Whether it be, everybody, we've got to duplicate, everybody's got to have a goal statement. Everybody has to have a sense of purpose, a strong reason why, to inspire and motivate them to do what? To retail and to prospect, okay? And to, perform the follow-up, in ABC pattern of building depth. So retailing, we need to achieve base 10 that has to be duplicated in the ABC pattern in depth. Prospecting and expanding the organization, starting with 7 strong, that has to be achieved and duplicated in depth. And everybody needs to be getting their people, their team to the events. That's why we always promote buy 3 tickets, 1 for you, 2 to sell to either business partners or, potential business partners, so that so your team can be more proficient in executing, using and selling the product, exposing the business and prospecting. Okay. And, getting your people, teach, managing and assisting others to succeed in the business.
It's called the result producing activities.
Yeah.
So that you're right. And so if Kevin, if I should start the slide presentation now, right? We put together a quick little PowerPoint presentation to complement what's being taught. Here we go. Let's see here. So here we go, Kevin. Everybody can see that, I think, right? Yeah,
Right.
Good.
Right. So, when you see the ABC pattern diagram, you got to remember it's not going to unfold perfectly. In other words, let's say Andrew brings me into the business, okay? And I'm just not coachable, or I'm not, I don't have a strong enough goal statement, or for whatever it is. We'll get into some of the stumbling blocks later. But the point is you got to, Andrew's going to go through me and get to Andrew Chi, or go through me and Andrew Chi to get to Jim. Now, let's say Jim Winkler's coachable and he starts to duplicate what Andrew's teaching. That becomes the A. I'm not the A. Andrew Chi wasn't the A. Jim was the A. Okay, so you could have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, people that just. They didn't want it bad enough, and they're not that coachable. Okay, so it's when you've got that person that is willing to duplicate and follow, okay, the example that you're setting, to make sure everybody doesn't understand. It's not a position thing. It's basically you earn the right to be considered the A. Okay. Very so good. Again, and JR's always talked about, you didn't have a good meeting if you didn't book another meeting.
Always the follow-up. Every single meeting I do with him, you're the same, Kevin. He always asks the question, did we get the follow-up? And if he was there, he made sure those follow-ups were scheduled, because that was the measurement of having a successful, productive get-together, whether it be a 2-on-1, a 1-on-1, a little home business presentation, or at a UBP. It's about getting the follow-up scheduled and booked, because what you set in motion carries in motion. That's one of the principles.
It's about expansion, Oh yeah, JR. I remember one time with JR. Yeah, I had this meeting. I had 2 people there, and guess what? They wanted to get in the business, and I registered them right there. He says, "That's great." He says, "But when's the next meeting with them?"
Exactly.
I said, "Well, we haven't did it. I registered them in the business, but I didn't." He says, "What a terrible." Oh, so I guess we're done. Exactly. He's like, you just deadheaded the flow. In other words, you just dammed it up by not booking. It's about them leading to people, and that's what the follow-up meeting is about. And not just showing the plan, but the follow-up and duplicating exactly what I went through.
I mean, you think about when you're at a meeting, obviously somebody sees the presentation the first, second, or third time. There's still points of clarity that they need. They still have, they're still a little bit fuzzy. They want it. Maybe you develop a little bit of a relationship and a rapport. Maybe they started a possibilities list using the getting started guide. You mentioned the goal statement, what their purpose is. They're starting to do these things. We're guiding them in the process. But at the same time, too, we're using the, like you said before, using the products, exposing the products to people, tickets to the next event. This whole process is a bit of a catch-all to ensure these tasks and activities are being duplicated, are being executed, are being practiced, to ensure that duplication as best we can. But in order to be able to do this, one of the main things to learn how to do is to show the plan, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, we have to have, the whole business is about expanding our sales and distribution organization. Okay. There is no money there. That's how we make our money. If we expand by showing the plan and exposing it to new, because we're trying to create and expand distribution channels. Okay. Or bring on new UFOs. And to help us, because there's no way, if it takes 10,000 BV a week to basically make $1,500 US per week, all right, forget about the bonus, okay, that's 10,000 BV a week, 5 in the left, 5 in the right, okay. If there's no way an individual, very few individuals you could sell 10,000 BV worth a week.
Correct.
Just not going to happen. But you can get 100 people, okay, all right, in the left and right over a 24, 36-month period, okay, 48-month period, and expand to where everybody is doing, a little bit, Okay. 40 people on the left, 40 on the right doing 500 a week. Okay. Or 160 doing, 500 a month. You follow what I'm saying? So you can just break it down, but it's much easier to create that volume if you can leverage and get other people that want are motivated to do a little bit more than what they're currently doing. Okay. That's what it's all about. And I think in the process, Andrew, that you're talking about of the follow-up and the meeting next to, whether it's a coring, whether it's whatever it may be. Okay. That's where people start to understand the relationships between buying 3 tickets, adding 2 names, okay, how it all synergistically works together. Okay. Right. All of these elements, because prospecting, qualifying and sponsoring on its own, not going to cut it.
Exactly.
Okay. It's just not going to build. It takes all of the elements. Okay. But following up and making sure they get duplicated and get executed and get implemented is where it's at.
And there's many ways to show the plan. Just talking about showing the plan, Kevin, I know I'm most comfortable using the PowerPoint or the video, because as we know, the videos it follows the PowerPoint presentation. But there's other ways to expose information about our products and or the business. We have these tools to be utilized in order to be as efficient and as effective as possible, performing the result producing activities, which is exposing the product and exposing the business. We have great tools to utilize to do that. And if you're not utilizing the tools, you're really kind of missing an opportunity to ultimately set some of these systems in motion, because what you do with people, they ultimately will do. So you got to be careful on what you're doing and what you're not doing, right? But there's just give you some ideas of different tools.
And these are great. These tools here, Andrew, are again going to follow up. Showing the business to someone, having them evaluate it. Okay, and you've got an appointment. You booked an appointment. Let's say 5 days from now. Okay, and a follow up. In between, just staying in front of me, if you had just shown me the business, putting yourself, okay, in front of me, sending about marketamericashop.com link, to me, okay, maybe sending, a catalog or whatever, but just using some of these tools just to keep that relationship pump primed to our next a meeting, so that we've got something you can open up the meeting with. Did you watch that video I sent you on isotonics? Okay, you may put me on a 3-day trial size of the daily essentials, after you showed me the plan, and you're just hey, did you so you can conduct a 3-day trial size with someone you just showed the plan to, because really in the end the evaluation approach and the trial run, okay, is based on introducing the business model, the plan, as well as introducing, the products that, the individual would sell and represent if they join you in this business endeavor.
Exactly. Well said. JR was obviously, he created this process, this approach to developing an organization called the trial run or test market, right? And I'll just read the quote. The trial run definition: the process used to see if someone is right for the business, if the business is right for them, through which they will lead to potential prospects and customers, or in the final process, disqualify themselves. So this process we're talking about here enables us to minimize wasted time, right? And we end up spending our time, energy, and effort for the most part with the people who deserve it. And those are the people who qualify for the business, who are ready, willing, and able to execute on this very simple result producing activities, because they have a purpose and they have some goals, and they've identified this business venture, this vehicle, this system, this business model to, as the solution for them to get to where they want to go. We're just guiding them along the way during this process, and it's really not up to them. But ultimately, if they disqualify themselves, maybe they've led to some people that do qualify, but you catch all that through this process.
Right. And it is true. I mean, if they won't try the product, then they're probably they're going to be disqualified. If they can't lead you to anybody that, that has any interest at all in the business, it's going to be a tough road. If they're not willing to buy a ticket to go to an event to see people that are actually succeeding with the model, these are three result producing activities. If they're not willing to participate during the trial run, at its most infantile, each of those most infantile stages, then they're probably not going to be right for the bit. They're not going to be your guy.
And let's not waste our time on them.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, the what we invest more than anything in this business is time. We want to make sure that the time invested is quality time. And to ensure it's quality time is what you said before, the result producing activities, and not, spending time with the wrong people. So, this is something that JR also was very conscious of and taught, which is just kind of adjusting to individuals' comfort level. If somebody is not that interested and just willing to give you referrals, you're not going to book a home business presentation in their house. You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of adjust, like a rheostat. We kind of adjust based on their comfort level. Somebody might be interested and want to learn more about the products and or the business. We provide them with more information. We schedule a time to get back to them, whether it be in person or sometimes a follow-up could be on Zoom as well. That hybrid of that using the technology in combination with the in-person meetings is very, very effective. Sometimes people, Kevin, they think of some people pretty quickly off the top of their head, people they respect enough, they want to expose the business to, they want them to evaluate it. And we're not going to allow them to go do it on their own. Hence this follow-up and ABC pattern process, we're going to go with them. Or at least if they're not in the same geographic location, maybe we can do a first meeting or so on Zoom and connect with them, but we're guiding the process. We're controlling the environment. Maybe the next, over is a meeting with a few people around their kitchen table or in a certain location, or maybe it's a full-blown home business presentation they want to put together, but the point is, these are all different ways to follow up with people based on what they're comfortable with. We don't need to force people to do anything. We never need to twist anybody's arm, because at the end of the day, as you know, Kevin, we don't need that many people at all to get a foundation built, which can ultimately create a very solid business, a great organization, which can yield supplemental income.
Right. And as JR said, we're just trying to find the right people. We'd like to try to find the right people to invest our time, energy, and effort with, rather than bring them in and find out they weren't the right people at the very beginning. And that's why he was big on the evaluation approach, and trial run, simply because, the key is we want people that are going to do something, and we find out whether they're willing to do it before we bring them into the business. Okay. And so that we're not wasting our time.
So I think we've already kind of referred to some of the information on this slide, Kevin. We talk about, the different ways to follow up with the objectives that we have after a presentation, because the meeting begins when the presentation ends, and that's right. Where we look to answer questions. We provide more information. We schedule a follow-up appointment. Maybe it's about them. Maybe they identify some products they want to start to use. Maybe we teach them a little bit more about how to get paid to shop on shop.com. Maybe we promote the upcoming seminar that's happening maybe a couple of weeks out, but we have our tickets, like you said, at least 3 on hand, because we can't sell a ticket that we don't have, or maybe just get referrals, or maybe we schedule a time to do some calls, with them. But these are the meeting after,
you're right. The meeting after the meeting is really the most important meeting, believe it or not. I mean, we got the topic out, to evaluate the numbers, the graph, all the graphics and everything. But in the end, the meeting after the meeting, getting, is a great place to start to nurture a relationship with the person if they have an interest level, going back to, the previous slide. But that's where the meeting after the meeting is where you start to build and nurture the relationship with the person, because in the end, they got to buy you too. Okay. They know that, okay, you're going to coach them. You've got a vested economic interest in their success. You're willing to support them. These are just topics for, throw in their meeting. But the key is building the relationship and getting them to buy you, that you are somebody that they want to work with, i.e. that's why you got to be knowledgeable. Okay. If you can demonstrate in the meeting after the meeting that you possess the knowledge that, possess knowledge that could be of benefit or value to the person, that you've shown the business to, the more likely they're going to be open and they're going to be coachable. So again, i.e. why we got to get at least 2 people to those events.
Amen. Amen. And I think, and it's also worth mentioning or noting, we're very fortunate to have a culture within our community where everybody supports each other, regardless of the line of sponsorship. And in a perfect world, yes, your sponsor, your senior partners are all working and connecting in tangent with one another. But listen, some of the most successful franchise owners have their sponsor who've left the business. The timing wasn't right for, maybe they got mentally constipated or their senior partners aren't accessible for whatever reason. But the point is, it's about them, making a commitment to themselves, identifying the unfranchised business as the system or vehicle of business to get them to where they want to go and following it. Right. And everybody supports each other. And I think it's important that we, keep that in mind. We've done that for 30 years. No unfranchised owner left behind is something that comes to mind.
You bring up a good point, that I deal with every day is it's not only is it your job to be the leader, okay, by setting the example, but it's also part of your job to seek out the leadership that you need. Okay. In other words, you may have some gaps or things. So I just go back to my own personal experience. I had a tremendous sponsor, okay, in Dennis. Dennis had JR. So I had my 2 active senior partners were Dennis and JR. And I got to tell you, it's hard to get better than that. Okay. But even those 2 weren't able to provide 100% of what I needed at certain times in in my evolution as a successful unfranchised owner. So because of the GMTSS, the open meeting training seminar system JR put in, I was introduced to Pam and Tony Bowling just through the meeting training. And I actually got some things from them. I got some leadership, that mentorship that they provided to me at the time, that it wasn't kicking, with JR and Dennis. Okay. But the thing is I got it because of the open meeting. I didn't have to go join, I want to be in Pam and Tony's organization. Okay. That's what the GMTSS is for. It's an open, so that you get mentorship in a way, indirectly, you get training from the best. I mean, it's huge. This is huge.
The point, you're correct. I'm glad you went further with that, because you can access the knowledge, the belief, the information that's necessary, not just from your sponsor, not just from your senior partners, but from the community that we have with our global meeting training and seminar system. And everybody supports everybody. And the whole, listen, Jay always said the whole is always greater than the sum of the parts. We can go a lot further with a lot more strength, working collectively as a team, than if any one person were to try to do it individually. And so we've been very fortunate to have created that culture from the very beginning, and that GMTSS continues. So great points, Kev. You wanted me to move forward, right?
Yeah. I mean, this diagram, everybody's seen it. If you haven't seen it, and you're actively going to meetings, trainings, been to basic, I mean, you see this everywhere. And this is just a diagram. It doesn't unfold perfectly, as we said, but it's the A, B, C pattern, A1, B1, C1. I mean, the whole idea is we want to build and duplicate in depth, the importance of goal setting, having a goal statement, having a vision board, retailing, base 10, qualifying as an MUFO. All of these things I talked about, these are the things we want to build in depth. as well as teaching people how to show the plan in a way that they're comfortable with. And it's always everybody working together, okay? Because we each and every A, B, C, A1, B1, C, they all have a vested economic interest in the success of everybody in that line, regardless of who sponsored them.
Exactly. Well stated. You know, Kevin, a lot of people think that it's about what you do, you know, from the top down that really creates a duplication. But the truth of the matter is it all happens from the bottom up, you know, working with the people within your organization that are ready, willing, and able to execute, have fun. Rule number one from JR, you know, and follow the system, follow the process, execute on these tasks and activities, and we duplicate from the bottom up. You know, and that demonstration that JR did at the international convention, you know, passing the story down the line, you know, it ends up becoming very distorted, a completely different story at the end. But if somebody were to follow it through, each person, then of course the same story that it begins with is the same exact story that it ends with, which is ultimately the purpose of the ABC pattern, to ensure proper duplication continues, right?
Yep, you got it.
All right. So the objective for new unfranchised owners is to lead to prospects while demonstrating the best practices. And Kevin, you know, this weekly accountability we put together, you want to speak to the
well, yeah, I'm not going to read this because everybody that's on, you know, is participating in the 53 challenge. If you're participating in any of the 90-day MUFO action plans, I know we're doing them, you know, over here every week for the past 3 years. But the thing is you've seen these forms, you know, go back to the weekly accountability form. And these are, you know, your job is to identify 20% of your people that are generating 80% of your, you know, production, okay, for your team. And then working 80% of your time invested with the 20% that are doing it, 20% with the 80%. But you also have to identify the 20% of the activities, okay, that generate 80% of your production. Right. And that's what this weekly accountability, if you will, these tasks and activities, this accountability report is. The 20% of the activities that will generate 80% of your business are right here. And that's what we're trying to, you know, get everybody to realize. This is what feeds the bulldog. This is what these activities on a persistently and consistently on a week to week for, you know, for 8 consistent quarters to 8 to 12 quarters a year, you know, it's a 2 to 3 year plan doing this consistently. And they've been identified for everyone. And by doing this and working this as a team, you know, a team of 3, team of 7, whatever it is, you know, you getting and duplicating this in depth. It's also, and having a coring or an accountability session weekly on what everybody did. Okay. It's important because we're trying to create a culture of accountability, meaning we want people to realize they're part of something bigger than just themselves. And everybody doing a little bit positions everybody to achieve a lot. A few people doing it all doesn't position anybody to do anything except burn the good people out.
All right, Kev, I think we've covered a lot of the major principles and the objectives and the reasons behind, you know, the fundamental of follow up in the ABC pattern of building depth. You want to talk about some of the stumbling blocks that people get kind of hung up on that prevents them from really succeeding or making that progress?
Yeah, some of these are very obvious, I would think, you know, to everybody that's on here. You don't show the plan. If you don't show the plan, you ain't going to the B level. Okay. And you got to teach people how to show the plan, find a way to basically show the plan so that they can expose the business model to their sphere of influence, their network. Okay. So that you can have multiple people on any given night actually out there in your organization showing the plan, and they don't have to solely rely on wait for the UBP, okay, or you to show the plan. And back in the day, this was critical because we only showed it on the whiteboard, or you had to be able to draw it on paper. And there weren't that many people. Okay. There weren't that many people back in 1992, 93 could show the plan. So everybody was dependent. Okay. But now with the video, we didn't even have a flip chart back then. But now with the video, the flip chart, the PowerPoint, I mean, hell, you can even go to YouTube and watch Winkler show the plan. I mean, at least it gets it out there. Yeah. Okay. It's not perfect by relying on somebody else, but in the meantime, okay, we're getting it done, and getting it done more times than not, well, is better than trying to be perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. It's getting it done.
Can't be dependent. It can't be dependent on your senior partners or the UBP or anybody for that matter. So you want to learn to show the plan, obviously, Kev.
Yeah. I mean, plugging them into a basic 5, NUOT, specialized training. Well, I can't get my people to attend training. Well, if apparently, what are they that skilled? I mean, there's nowhere you're going to be able to get our business, be able to talk intelligently about our business, okay, unless you get educated. And the only place you can get the Market America unfranchised business education as it is at an unfranchised Market America GMTSS training. Exactly. Or you doing the training, for your people in your home. But these trainings are important to make them more proficient at what produces BV. Okay.
Another stumbling block is just simply working with the wrong people. But if you follow this process, we're going to minimize that as a challenge.
Yes, it calls them out. Okay, they're the 80%ers. That's great. Stay on. You want to buy the product at unfranchised. That's great. Love you. No problem. 80% is still volume, but you got to invest your time. This was something I had to learn early on. Okay. When I first got, I just thought, you just sign anybody and everybody up you possibly could, and they would go do the same thing. Well, it didn't happen that way. So got bogged down trying to get people to do things. That's when JR called and said, you know what you're doing. And he was right. But people need to move from house to house. Okay. Not the reverse ABC pattern. Okay. People have a tendency, they'll go house to house, house to house. Then I see it stagnate because all of a sudden now they don't want to go out and do it. They want their people to come to their house. So they'll have 3, 4, 5 people, that come to my house, and I'll show it all to you at my place, versus making all of them go from the people they have in their line of sponsorship house to house with them. Okay. People are more comfortable. They can get people to more people to evaluate the business that way, because they're more comfortable going to someone's house that they know.
Exactly. And if it's not their house, at least it's through their people, right? It's, at least you're scheduling meetings, ideally it's in their homes, their location, but at the end of the day, we still want to get through those people and work with them. Another stumbling block, Kevin, is getting people just to register or sign up in the business, which is absolutely not the important element here. It's about them succeeding, and setting the right principles and fundamentals in motion, right? If they have people who are interested in the business, they have people interested in the products, it makes sense for them to establish their business. Now, it's not wrong for somebody to register their business, but it's wrong if you just expect them to just go do it without your guidance, support, and coaching. But if somebody wants to register their business because they want their site up, they want to purchase products for their own personal use, they want to buy from the partners, that's totally cool. But let's not forget about using the Getting Started Guide, getting those presentations booked, getting their possibilities list, working with them to expose the products and business to their people. As long as that's happening, then you're cool,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is you've got to have scheduling. You've got to have planning, and you can work this in. We're doing this webinar tonight. Okay. So I have that from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Then I have a 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock with someone in Malaysia, a key leader, and some of their people to do a coring. Okay. And then at 11:30 to 12:30, I've got a 2-on-1 with an Australian UFO introducing having me talk to an Indonesian prospect, and we opened up the EMP market, and someone that has already seen the plan. See, one of the things I tell them, have they seen the plan? Okay, I don't care how they saw it, but have they seen the plan? If they've seen the plan, I'll meet with them. But I'm not meeting with people to show people the plan. Okay, the point is there's so many efficient methods, okay, to determine an interest level. Because I only have time to meet with people that have indicated they do have an interest and they want some more, information. But the point I'm trying to make here is I'm scheduling this, okay, because there's different things you can schedule, okay, when it comes to prospecting, follow up, meeting with different, members of your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not using the getting started guide. We've already talked about the importance and the necessity of getting the follow-ups booked. You've already mentioned that, lack of scheduling and planning, which reflects their lack of discipline. Ultimately, it just doesn't take that much to really get it done. And not teaching the evaluation approach. These are all simple things that if they're not done, you're not going to be successful executing follow-up and the ABC pattern of building depth. It's really as simple as that. But what's worth noting is that everything that Kevin, you've talked about, everything that I've mentioned is within reach and can be done by really anybody and everybody that has a sincere desire to get the things that they want.
And even if you've been doing it all wrong, I mean, go through, oh my God, I've been in there doing this for 2 years and I've just, I did it wrong for a year. Okay. I signed up everybody and expected, I got activated, you go get activated. Okay. They didn't get activated. Nobody did anything. So I signed up more people, then signed up, but none of them did anything. That's when Jairus did, let me show you how to get to people, to get them to evaluate it. Quit pitching, selling, and closing, Kevin. Okay. You're going to get more potential and leverage more by getting more people to evaluate it and not closing. Okay. Every single person that you sit down with. And let me tell you what, it made all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, there's a logic behind showing the plan. There's a science, if you will, to the flow of the presentation. And if they don't choose a 2 to 3 year plan, then of course you can't assume that they wanted it at the end of the presentation, right? So it's important to follow the logic behind the plan. I think another challenge is people rely on the GMTSS too much. It's there as a support system, it's to support this activity that we're talking about, and the other element, and you said at the very beginning, in the onset of this session, they think the plan unfolds perfectly, which it doesn't at all. You know what I mean? You think about a football play or a basketball play, what you have, in executing that play is you have a team, but you also have a defense that's preventing.
They don't want to get blocked. They don't want to be blocked.
But the point is we're making progress.
Yeah.
You make progress and you follow the pattern. It doesn't happen perfectly. I do want to encourage everybody to watch the presentation that we supported JR at the International Convention, because it was probably the best one that he did, because it kept things very, very simple. But to your point, Kevin, it's not just about showing the plan. You're able to execute on all the tasks and activities that we want to duplicate and carry in motion through this process, or this methodology.
And really, there's 3 slides here. In that, this breaks down exactly what the business goal and objective is from start. We got to use the product and then build a repeat customer base of the products that, we sell and represent. And we call it base 10. Okay. Broke the numbers down. Your household, just transferred what you're already buying from some other business establishment currently. Okay. And you start to change brands and use the products, goods, and services that you're going to sell and represent in the business. We give you a number of 150, get 10 customers at 35 BV that repeat buy every 4 weeks. And you're generating now 500 BV a month, 1,500 BV a quarter. Okay. 7 IBV, 10 customers, that's 70 IBV per month. 30 IBV from your household, that's 100 IBV per month. That's 300 IBV a quarter. So, all the numbers, are done, broken down so that we achieve our initial, what we're really after as a minimum, which is 1,500 BV a quarter and 300 IBV a quarter. Okay.
I'll move forward.
Now,
Kev, I want to make a mention here because by having that a minimum of base 10 of repeat retail customers, obviously you're creating a considerable amount of BV, and obviously you can't stop at 10. It's going to grow beyond that. But the point is this: you guys saw the communication that came out via Unfranchised News on Friday. It talked about a pretty significant, actually a major enhancement to the MPCP with respect to volume placement. Starting November 1, we're all going to be able to place volume into our new personally sponsored unfranchised owners BDCs within the first 90 days of them being in the business.
And that night, and I just want to clarify, that 90 days begins with their Q date.
Correct. They have to be
So
qualified.
I want everybody to realize that, so if their Q date, right, if their Q date is 3 days before the calendar quarter ends, where you get your designation, okay, you still got 90 days from that Q date into the next quarter to place volume there. So there's nothing that should impede or, bringing new people into the business.
So listen, the fact that we have that capability starting November 1, obviously we can place volume in our own personal business development centers. We get one designated placement and we can earn an additional one by becoming a master and franchise owner. I mean, this is something that JR was excited about, and we're happy to have implemented. At least we announced it, but it'll be implemented November 1. So, but I thought of that just because you're talking about volume creation. Doesn't do any good. That placement policy that was just enhanced doesn't do any of us any good if we don't have volume to place. So,
well, that's just it. Liquidatable volume. In other words, if I bring a new person in and I want to get them to 1,000 BV, okay, in their right bank of their 01, because that's the inside leg and that's the weak leg, so that when they do sponsor somebody, it kicks them a check. Okay, I don't want to be ordering 1,000 BV that I can't sell or liquidate, okay, into that center, so that it just stacks up in my closet, if you will. What I want to do is build a repeat retail customer base so that I've got about 2,200 to 2,500 BV. This is what I got. I got about 2,500 BV from over a period of time, built up a customer that I can assign down in excess of the 150. Okay. So the point is, you've got to have excess volume. That's why it's so important, base 10, and then practicing one-to-one marketing and increasing that BV by increasing the share of product that customer buys. Now, once you do that and achieve base 10, take a look at the master on franchise owner criteria. Completing a shopping annuity assessment once per year, done. UFMS on auto ship, one and done. 1,500 BV a quarter, base 10 is already being done. 300 IBV a quarter, base 10 already accomplished. Okay. Now I've got my unfranchised owner, all my partners that have achieved this. They are free to focus 80% of their time solely on prospecting, qualifying, and getting people to evaluate the business, put them on a trial run. Okay. And then with new people they bring in, they're conducting or attending an NUOT, a basic 5, an ECCT. I would say at least once a quarter, because your new people are going to even need the ECCT, even though you only have to do one a year. The point is, and we're making sure that standard operating procedure is everybody buys 3 tickets, 1 for them and 2 for 2 new people they're going to bring in to the major event 6 months from now, or approximately 6 months. If you're doing all of these things above, there's no way in hell you don't score 50% on a basic 5 diagnostic test. It's impossible. You're going to score 90% if you're duplicating this in your organization. So that's why by achieving base 10, it automatically makes it so that you've only got one thing to focus on for the next 2 to 3 years, really, for the most part, is expanding sales by creating more distribution channels.
It's very simple. Once again, everything that we've talked about, everybody can do, provided they apply themselves a little bit, have some fun in the process. And, to get that foundation built, having 3 on the left and 3 on the right, including yourself, because you've led by example, to execute with these numbers, which is really not that much. Earning $300 a month is pretty significant. You can't earn, $1,500 to $3,600 per week until you make that $300 a month first, not including retail profits. It's just, listen, it's still the most realistic yet most lucrative compensation plan ever created. We're very fortunate we've been able to adapt and adjust through the last few years utilizing technology. We're back in person, still utilizing technology as a hybrid to be as effective and efficient as possible. But we're very fortunate to have products that perform, that people don't want to live without once they experience them, and that we can retail, to create that volume. Now we got to do, like you said, Kevin, is expand distribution by sponsoring qualified individuals into our organization, growing 2 vertical lines. And it's only a matter of time before you ultimately will reach your personal and financial goals following the unfranchised business model. There's still nothing that comes close.
No, and I tell you, if you can, with respect to the follow ABC pattern of building depth, imprinting and duplicating, if you can get 2 of these people, just using this right here, if you can get Mark and Matt, or Matt and Chris, and you can get Kate and Jake, if you can just get 2 on the left, 2 on the right to duplicate, get them to 7 strong. All 3 of these are base 10, but you get 2 of them to 7 strong, duplicate 3 on their left, 3 on the right. You're automatically do the math. And remember, there's some 80 percenters in between that are just doing 50, 100, they're just, doing their thing. You're automatically going to get to where your 001 is cycling at least twice every 4 weeks. Just by getting 2 on the left, 2 on the right to duplicate 7 strong. Now, I know that if we are persistently consistent in getting people to do best practices as we started off this thing, over the next 24 to 36 months, it is so doable to achieve to where you've got a center cycling 2 to 3 to 4 times a month, 1 center. Okay, if you build it in depth, okay, I know it's doable because I've seen it. 30 years, but the thing is, I've seen it.
It's happening,
and I know it can be done.
Yeah, and listen,
it's just a matter of being consistently persistent and staying focused and stay the course.
Amen.
As Dennis would say.
Well said, Kev. I think we've covered everything. Kevin, fantastic job as always, and have a great Market Malaysia Leadership School this weekend. I know the team is very excited about the agenda and the speakers that are going to be participating and sharing their experiences and their coaching points and tips and techniques. It's a great team there in Malaysia. Congratulations on Singapore last week with the whole team there. And listen, let's finish this year strong. We're in the final quarter of the year. I can't even believe we're going to be talking about the holiday season. Of course, we think about shopping is the best time for us because we can get paid on almost every gift, if we're smart, that we purchase for our friends and family, because we convert our spending into earning and make more money and make progress toward getting to what we want and reaching our personal and financial goals. So with that, Kev, stay safe. And everybody out there, thanks for joining us this evening. Stay safe, stay healthy, continue to have fun with the business building process. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right.
All right, everybody, take care.